as well as the chairman of the Nigerian Patriotic Front. And Dr. Madu, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Madu, I think that we've had you on a number of occasions talking about some of the problems generally associated with the continent of Africa. And I think that in terms of bringing information to us about the continent of Africa, I don't think that we could find a better representative to give us that kind of information this morning than yourself. Let's have you, Dr. Madu, before we get into the so-called new international trends of Africa and China, with emphasis up on Zaire and Nigeria, before we get into that as a topic this morning, let's have you to talk about the organizations that you are affiliated with. More specifically, let's have you to give us some information about the Pan-Africa, the organization in which you are the president, and some information about the chief of protocol, as well as the chairman of the Nigerian Patriotic Front. So give us that kind of information, and then we'll talk about the
Yes, thank you. Pan-Africa is an international organization that caters to fostering improved relationship between the United States and Africa. In addition, it also has programs, dealing with African diplomats and dignitaries visiting various parts of the United States. We have development projects in various African countries, specifically Swaziland, Malawi, etc., etc. And also it helps coalesce African interests and build a constituency for African interests in the United States. As you know, Africa, since the end of the so-called Cold War, has been marginalized internationally. And people don't seem to care more about the continent.
When you say marginalized internationally, what are you saying, Dr. Madu?
Well, because during the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union, unquote, at that particular time, used Africa as a battleground, used most African countries and armies as their proxies. Wherever the Americans were, the Russians, countered with another country. Wherever the Russians were, the Americans did the same. For example, Somalia and Ethiopia. They were getting billions of dollars in arms from both sides, to fight their wars and little economic aid. So since the Cold War ended, and there's no more international competition, so to speak, between the so-called, Soviet Union before and the United States, then most African countries do not receive any more attention from these countries. So people tend to forget there's a continent, like Africa. So Pan-Africa is one of those organizations that tries to sensitize, the public and also build a constituency. In addition to that, I personally arrange, for taking care of visiting dignitaries when they come here, ambassadors and or prime ministers, etc., etc., as part of making sure, all the protocols are observed, in international diplomacy. Well, with the Patriotic Front of Nigeria, about the problems facing the government and the people of Nigeria since the last elections in June of 1993. The Patriotic Front is one of those organizations that not only supports the territorial integrity of Nigeria, but also promotes the economic and political agenda, of the country. As you know, we've been having problems since those elections were held, and Nigeria has been under intense international, pressure and condemnation. And the country has to have people who can stand up and say, we are proud to serve and help the country.
Dr. Madu, I think